Welcome to On the Spectrum. I'm your host, Terri Matthews, and this is the show where we inform you, entertain you, and yes, educate you about all things autism. We like to call it prescription TV. Joining me today is Mr. Kevin Howard. We're going to be doing a do-it-yourself project, and it's all about social stories. Who doesn't want to create something cool like this, especially for the holidays? Kevin, it's so good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back. I'm happy to be here, Terri.
So we are going to build a social story, which I think is extremely important. And what's more important is that social stories are not just used for your smaller kids, but they could be used clear up with adults with autism.
Sure, you could do a social story at any age. It doesn't make a difference. The thing you want to keep in mind is the person's attention span and abilities.
That's awesome with
And
telling us
right,
that.
so you can't just make a social story and have it 50 pages and they lose interest after the second.
I would lose interest if it were 50 pages. So I'm going to be learning on how to create a social story around Christmas Day. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's do that. And let's pick one specific thing that can happen during the holiday, which is opening presents.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that happen on Christmas. So sometimes we got to kind of narrow it down just a little bit so that our kids aren't overwhelmed and we're not overwhelmed trying to create a story.
Right, and we have one specific activity that we want to focus on because last year, my kid, he opened up everybody's presents, okay? and he wouldn't stay around, so everybody got very upset and he left and it turned into a little bit of chaos. So this year, we're gonna make sure everything is smooth, everybody enjoys it, including our son Seth.
Let me tell you, I love that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about all the materials that we have here and actually just how to get started. So I see that there are sentences that are structured here, but you should actually write out what that social story is going to be before you even type out the sentences or write them down, right?
Sure. Know what the behavior is that you're attacking. So if we want to modify opening up all the presents at once, well, let's look at doing that. Let's also think about when they open the present. What happens if they get something they don't like? Are they going to throw it? Are they going to be angry? So,
and I've had that happen in my house.
Sure.
Or that disappointed pout and they're upset. They're in the middle of a quiet meltdown and they're like, no. So here I see some sentences like, I wish every day was Christmas. I love to open Christmas presents on Christmas Day. And then there's obviously some pictures here. And what's this cool thing?
Well, these are worksheets and you can get these right off of our website at kookabook.com. To make it even easier for the parents to create the social story. So we have a little window right here for the placeholder for pictures. We have some lines, whether you want to write it or have your child write it if they have the ability to do so, or in my case, I type it out because my handwriting is horrible. So I type it out and then I paste it onto the page.
I love accountability. It's okay to have horrible handwriting. You know how to type, obviously.
That's it. I'm a tech guy, so I do everything on the computer.
So we would take this sheet of paper. Let's do one of these just as an example. So these are free on kookabook.com?
You can get them in portrait and in landscape version.
Okay, so these are free on kookabook.com. We would take a glue stick. This is pretty inexpensive, right?
This is one of the easiest projects you can do. And the idea is not to make it overwhelming for yourself because you already have a lot going on, especially during the holidays.
So when I would be working with Jaden or our audience would be working with their children, again, this is the beginning of the story. We would actually find the right match, right? And place this on here. I'm not sure that this is the beginning, but we're going to use this as an example.
That's fine.
Because we're on TV time.
All right. That's perfect.
And then you just take the picture. Do you allow, so if I read this sentence to my kid, there are many presents under the tree, mine have my own picture and name on them, would you have them kind of look?
Sure, they could pick out the picture and they could glue it on themselves.
Because again, just because they're nonverbal doesn't necessarily mean they don't understand. So.
And the more involved they are with the process, the more ownership they're going to take into it. And then having their pictures on the social story itself makes the stories themselves much more meaningful to them.
Absolutely, because there's faces of people that they recognize, their family. So in this case, there are many presents under the tree. Mine have my picture name on them. I would ask my child to go find this. This gets stuck on.
And this way, the child can identify which presents are actually theirs.
I love
And if you
that.
wanted to, if you had the time, you could put pictures of all the different people that would be receiving presents that are under the tree. So that way you're not just isolating, the one kid or the one child or the kiddo, just, hey, we could do it for everybody.
Kevin, I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of times our kids have siblings, and it seems like we go the extra mile for the kid that's on the spectrum. And it can have, even though their siblings understand, sometimes they feel like, wow, you know, they went out of their way to put pictures of my brother all on his presents. Where are my pictures
exactly.
at? I'm the star too.
Exactly.
Right? So we would do this again as an activity. You can get these at kookabook.com, and this is free. These are obviously, you can get pictures of your kids. Either you have them in your iPhone, print them out on your home printer, however you choose to do that.
Exactly.
And then the sentence structure, I love the idea too that the lines are there that you can also write.
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah. Again, if they have a part in creating it, it becomes so much more meaningful to them. And that's the idea. And the other thing that you want to make sure that you do after you create the story, you got to read it together.
Oh, so show us what this finished product looks like.
All right. So let's make a little room. And we have opening presents on Christmas Day. That's our title page.
That is so cute.
Okay, and the idea here isn't to make a textbook perfect social story. What we're trying to do, our goal is just to change a behavior or a social interaction to the appropriate behaviors. That's it.
Okay.
So, and if we do it from the child's perspective and we make them the star of the show, bingo, you're going to be just fine.
You know, it's interesting you said that. Jaden had to have an MRI at one point, and he just hated going to the doctors because anytime it was all about shots, and we had to create a social story just about getting in an MRI.
There you go.
You know what I mean? But at the end of his social story, his gift was a gift that he got to order, like a Pokemon or something.
That's great. That's awesome. And you know, it's funny that you bring that up, because after you reread it and then you go through the event, you could take pictures of the event while it's happening, and then take these blank pages and continue the social story and say, hey, remember when we did this? And you can review, and actually that helps with memory retention. The visual cues help with language acquisition. There's so many benefits to creating the social story, reviewing the social story, and then going back to it after the event had taken place.
And can you just tell our audience out there, because as I flip through this, I just want them to know, because this do-it-yourself project is really awesome. It's easy to do. It's affordable to do. It's great interaction with your family, with your child that's on the spectrum, or your adult child that's on the spectrum. But what do you think is the best benefit for a kid having a social story? What's so meaningful about them having this? Because you don't have to chuck this. You can keep it for a long time.
Well, wouldn't you love to have a story about you with your pictures in it and everything else? Who wouldn't want that? Huh?
I think that's pretty cool, Kevin.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll just go do that.
And that's what it is. I mean, obviously we're going to try and change a behavior or modify something or prepare for an event. But what we need to do first and foremost is have fun with it.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people will hesitate doing the story because they're afraid they're going to do it wrong or they're not going to write it correct. Just
Don't worry about that.
Hey, what's that, Nike? Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And this is what I say. While you're doing it, have fun getting it done. That's all. And when you have fun doing it, your kid's going to learn. You're going to have a great experience together. And there's so many benefits for the parent. I say it's the BOGO. Buy one, get one. You get lasting memories, and you got a beautiful keepsake.
Thank you so much for being on today's show. This is really an awesome thing. I just love this, you guys. So when you get a chance, you need to try to do this with your family. And again, it doesn't have to be about presents. It could be about anything. Thank you so much for being here. So if you're interested in trying this project, please log on to www.OnTheSpectrumTV, where you can download these resources and more information how you can create your social story at home. That's all the time we have. See you next time on The Spectrum.